Huntington bags a big win in Mishawaka. And Baker, they prove they're human. They fall at Peru State. Also, we have Jordan Ashton. He's the head men's basketball coach. William Woods University, the Owls. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Hey, we're going to start with a little bit of catch up on some milestones. Let's start with Bryson Graber. He's point guard at Grace College. He passed 500 assists this last week and counting. Congratulations to Bryson Graber. He's a great point guard, and he's having a brilliant career there at Grace College. Congratulations. Also, Drew Miller, John Brown Golden Eagles. He surpassed 1,000 points. He's having a great career there. He's a key piece of those Golden Eagles. We're going to talk to Jason Beshta tomorrow. He's going to talk a little bit more about Drew Miller, but congratulations to Drew Miller for passing that 1,000 point mile mark. Also, Sam Conkey, Central Baptist Mustangs, a guy who's been a great friend of the show. Got to know him fairly well down in Kansas City. I actually like the guy quite a bit. Anyway, he's surpassed. He's got the most coaching wins in program history at Central Baptist. Congratulations to Sam. He's a great young coach. He's got a great future ahead of him. Also, you know that the polls came out on Wednesday morning. I'm sure you opened them up and devoured them. Here's where they are. I'm not going to read them to you because you've already read them, and they come out every 2 weeks. But as you know, on this show, we're going to try to focus mainly on the conference races, and of course, we use the top 25 as the backdrop. But there's your top 25. If your team is in, congratulations. If your team is out, well, just go win your conference and you don't got to worry about it. Okay, so let's start with Baker. As I said, they kind of proved they're human. I don't think they've lost since daylight savings time. Number 6 in the country this week. They fall to Peru State on the road, 73-63. For Peru State, Carlos Hines, 28 points, 3 rebounds. Donzel Johnson, 20.7 rebounds. So Baker, they go to 19-2. They're going to be at Grandview on Saturday. Taking a look at the rest of the conference, here's the scores. Graceland won, which is important with Baker going down. They took advantage of it. And Mid-America won again. I'm going to show you in the standings here. They beat Park, and they beat Park on the road. That's a pretty good win. Let's look here. See, Baker now is 2 games up on Graceland. Peru State, another, 1 game back. But Mid-America Nazarene is now tied for 4th after they beat Park. Pretty good race here for 2nd and 3rd. You know, these teams want to stay within that top 4, as you guys know. So on Saturday, keep an eye on this William Penn Peru State game. That's going to be at Peru State. Graceland has to go on the road, which you know is always dangerous. They're going to Central Methodist, and then Baker, they have to go to Grandview, see if they can get back on the winning track. So let's jump over to the Crossroads next. Bethel University, they fell to Huntington tonight in Mishawaka. A bit of a surprise. Big win for Huntington, 92-82. We're going to talk more about Huntington when we get to them. But Bethel now is 17-4, and Bethel will be at Indiana Wesleyan on Saturday. Grace College, they beat Indiana Wesleyan in Winona Lake tonight, 89-75. Brett Sycophus, 16 points, 2 rebounds, and Ian Scott, 20.7 rebounds, 6 assists. You guys know I really admire his game, but I think one thing he just doesn't get any credit for is he gets between 5 and 8, 9 assists a night. I'm sure he gets double teamed. He's really good at getting rid of the ball and feeding his teammates. He's got quite a skill set, and he doesn't get enough credit for his passing ability. So Grace College, they go to 17-4, and they're going to host Spring Arbor on Saturday. As we said, Huntington knocked off Bethel. Lane Sparks, 27 points, 4 rebounds. Landon Jordan, 18 points, 8 rebounds. So Huntington, they go to 16-5, and they're going to host St. Francis on Saturday. And St. Francis is playing really, really good basketball. Here in the rest of the league, in the Crossroads, Marion beat Spring Arbor. You can see all the scores there. I starred this. St. Francis won again. They played Goshen tonight, but they won again. So Bethel now is 1 game up on Grace, and St. Francis is only 1 game back. So this Crossroads League is wide open. I think there's 7 league games now left. So what's happening on Saturday? Well, St. Francis is going to go to Huntington. Boy, oh boy, buy your ticket for that. My goodness. Spring Arbor is going to be at Grace. That'll be a good game. And Bethel has to go to Indiana Wesleyan. So can Indiana Wesleyan do everybody a favor and not add 1 for Bethel in the loss column? Boy, that would turn that Crossroads League topsy-turvy. We'll just have to see on Saturday. Okay, let's listen to Jordan Ashton. He's a head men's basketball coach. William Woods, they are the Owls. They're having a really good season. You know, Jordan Ashton was over at Iowa Wesleyan before they closed it down, and boy, he really had things cooking there. And he's getting the same thing going at William Woods. Why don't we just take a listen to Jordan Ashton, William Woods Owls. Cascade Hoops Talk. Hey, I got Jordan Ashton on the phone. He's the head men's basketball coach, William Woods. They are the Owls. Welcome, Coach. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you much. It's great to be on, and I appreciate it.
So you've been on quite a roll. You're in a real big tug of war with Central Baptist right now in league play. Just talk about the Owls and that AMC so far this year.
Yeah, the AMC has been competitive. We've added a couple teams this year, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, you've got, CBC is obviously a great team. Columbia's playing well. You've got some of the other teams that have also started to play a little bit better as well. So, it's competitive. It's fun. And there's, a lot of great coaches and players in the league.
Yeah, so as you just said, right now you're a half game down from Central Baptist. You're 9-1. They're 10-1, and then Columbia is just a half game back from you. Crowley's Ridge is a couple games back. But I watch this battle every week, and it just seems like it's getting tighter and tighter. There's really no, everybody says this, but there's really no night off, is there?
No, there's really not. And, you obviously don't want to slip up if you're one of the teams at the top, because it is so close. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out and how it finishes. I think we hope anyways that we'll be able to get a couple teams from our league in the national tournament.
Right now overall you're 17-2. If my math is right, you haven't lost since before Thanksgiving. That's a heck of a streak.
Thankfully we've been able to kind of have it rolling a little bit. There's obviously still a lot of room for growth and improvement,
Sure.
But yeah, we dropped 2 in a row. Lost to Dort at home, it was a really good team, and then lost to CBC at their place. Both of those by 4 points, so real close games. But thankfully, we've been able to, like I said, kind of get it rolling a little bit, and we just hope to continue to improve and keep that going.
The world kind of learned your name when you were over at Iowa Wesleyan. You did some amazing things over there. You were able to move over to William Woods, and it just seems like you kind of kept it going. You're a relatively young guy. You just came to the NAIA. I think the Iowa Wesleyan job was your first NAIA exposure, wasn't it?
Yes. Yep, it was.
So a guy who you had a great high school career in Iowa. You've had a great career coming up to that. But what was your first impression of NAIA when you went over to Iowa Wesleyan, and was it what you expected?
A little bit, yes and no. I grew up in Mount Pleasant, so I went to all the Wesleyan games growing up, and that was when NAIA was split in 2 divisions.
Right.
But I knew how good NAIA was, but I think just being a head coach, and especially how college sports are now, you don't really realize, how high level of basketball it is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, the NAIA is great. I think we're right up there with a lot of Division II schools, even some Division I schools, and obviously a lot of transfers come into the NAIA and play as well. So the NAIA is very high level basketball.
And a lot of people look at successful teams. They see the high point total, the offensive output. But when I break your team down, and it seems like I say this a lot to top coaches, is you're
Mhm.
winning by defense. I mean, you're keeping teams under 30% at the arc. What are they under
Mhm.
40% shooting? Talk about the emphasis of defense for the Owls.
Yeah, that's kind of been a big thing since I got the job at Wesleyan a couple years back. I wanted our teams to pride themselves on the defensive end. We're not always going to make shots. We're not always going to be clicking on offense. When we are, great. But when we're not, we need to fall back on our defense and really be extremely tough on that end, and really, like I said, just pride ourselves in it. And that's what we always lean on. So thankfully, it's kind of worked out. Again, we can still be a lot better on that end, but we do really take the defensive end seriously.
And you rebound the heck out of the ball. Uh, Francis Akwusa, he 8 rebounds a game. You have Shannon, what is he? A 5, 6 rebounds a game. You out
Yep.
rebounds teams. I don't remember now. Is it like 13 average, a 13 or something? What is your secret on the glass?
That's a great question. First off, we got guys that buy into it. It's all about the guys and them doing it every day. And obviously, we work on it. We work on it a ton. The rebounding game is a huge part of it for us as well. But really, rebounding goes into toughness and effort. And our guys buy into that. We preach it, and they're the ones that go out and do it. So, I think that's just something that we really emphasize.
I want to shift back to the league a little bit. One thing that I really noticed I got to know Sam Conkey down in Kansas City last year, and I've talked
Hmm.
to other coaches in your league, Dallas Minders over at Mission, and Taylor
Yeah.
Jarvis.
Yep.
Your league is just loaded up with young, successful coaches, guys that are just learning the craft and having some success. Is that is that
Mhm.
a is that a tight fraternity? I know you're competitive, but you guys are a lot of you guys are around the same age, just kind of making your mark, if you will.
Yeah, it is kind of a tight, like, fraternity type. All great coaches, all great people. First off, great people. But we'll see them at recruiting events, obviously, and when we compete throughout the year. So, yeah, it's been great to see some of these other younger coaches, myself, just having success early on in their career.
So as of this morning, as we're recording this, you're number 14 in the coaches poll. How much poll watching, RPI watching do you do as a coach?
I think obviously it's good to get that recognition. It's good for our guys. I think it shows that the work that we put in every day, that we've been putting in since August. I think it's kind of showing a little bit on a national level now. But other than that, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. The RPI does, since that goes into making the national tournament. But in terms of the top 25, we're not too concerned with it. Our guys talk about it all the time, but they're not satisfied until hopefully we're competing for a national championship. That's always the goal. So, yeah, it's good. It feels good, but it doesn't mean a whole lot.
Coach, do you feel like I asked Sam this? Last year the AMC honestly caught me by surprise.
Hmm.
I didn't think it was as good as it was until
Yep.
until I saw the Central Baptist play down in Kansas City. They caught me by surprise, and I've apologized to all you coaches for that. But and obviously this year I didn't let it happen. You're the fourth coach I got out of the league. But is it still a little hard to get noticed in the American Midwest versus some of these other teams that are in more prominent, if you will, conferences, historic conferences? Do you find that a little frustrating, or is that even an issue?
I do think it is a little bit tougher. But I mean, once you just got to prove yourself, right? In the
Right.
non-conference schedule, with a run at the end of the year, which we haven't been able to do yet. We're hoping for this year, but you know, I do think the entire country is kind of seeing, like, especially after the run CBC made last year. Columbia's always good. Mobap's been good. And, like I said, hopefully we're able to do some things this year. But I think people are starting to notice the AMC a little bit more.
Yeah, that combination last year, what Sam was able to do in Kansas City, or his team,
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
Columbia went in. What did they have? Two over. Anyway, Indiana Wesleyan was really lucky to survive at home.
Yeah.
It
Yep,
really opened
definitely.
a lot of eyes, didn't it?
It did. It did.
So,
Both,
go ahead.
both CBC and Columbia finished the year very strong last year.
A couple quick questions about the conference. So, how far? What's your farthest? You're in what, Fulton, Missouri, right? What is your
Yes.
furthest drive for a conference game?
We've got a couple games down in Arkansas, obviously CBC, now Crowley's Ridge, and then Williams Baptist. So our furthest trip, it's about 5.5 hours for us to get down there, which isn't too bad at all. Um, and then majority of the other trips are just within, an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah, no, travel's pretty easy.
I mentioned Francis Akwusa. I just want to show off that I can pronounce his name.
Yeah.
But talk about, Henry Shannon's been with you for a while. He's having a great season as well. Nate Schwartz.
Yep.
Talk about some of your key guys.
Yeah. Francis was a guy that I recruited to Iowa Wesleyan. I've been with him for 3 years now. And then Henry Shannon was actually with me at Minnesota Duluth.
Oh,
Before I even got a head coaching job. I was an assistant at Duluth that year before Wesleyan. So Henry was a redshirt freshman there. And then when he decided that he was going to go pursue other options, I kind of jumped on that and brought him with. So, yeah, those guys have been with me now for 3 years. Henry in his fourth year, if you count that year at Duluth. But those guys have been great. They've really bought into it. They obviously understand, the type of coach that I am and what I kind of expect and demand out of them. And we have a great relationship. So I think that all that trust and that relationship goes a long ways. Nate Schwartz is a guy that stayed at Woods when I got the job last year. He was someone that I really wanted to keep and was trying to keep at Woods. And Nate's been great as well. I think last year was a learning year for him because things were different. But this year, he's really bought into it and has been great for us all year.
You're able to get really high production out of these guys. Also, most importantly, they defend. When you coach a team, what are one or two non-negotiables for your guys that they will do, or you're not going to play? What are one or two non-negotiables for you as a coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I'd say for one, you've got to be unselfish. Like, you can't be putting yourself above the team or thinking that really having any of those selfish thoughts, right? Like, you got to put the team first. You've got to be bought into the team's goals. We always talk about if we make a run and make it far, the further we make it as a team, the more that comes for the individual. So we always put the team first. That's a big thing. And then the other thing, I just say, just be coachable and be bought into it. I think that goes along with, being unselfish, but just being fully bought in. Because if you've got guys that are half in, half out, you're not going to make it very far.
Coach, you've been at this your second season at William Woods?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Second year.
You've been there a couple of years. Talk about the school a little bit. What's your reception been like? How big a deal is basketball there? Just talk about William Woods for a moment.
Yeah, William Woods has been good. It's been a good spot for us. Obviously, it was tough when Wesleyan closed down.
Yeah.
But Woods has been great. There's great people here. They support us a lot. We've got a smaller gym, but if you've seen any of our games, majority of them are packed. So it makes it a really fun environment. And basketball is a big deal here. We just added football this year. So before that, I think basketball was kind of one of the main sports, the main attractions on campus. And thankfully we've been able to have a solid year so far. So I think that kind of is continuing.
Winning brings the fans. Coach, I like your
Definitely
opinion.
does.
I've said this a few times, but I honestly believe that basketball is the most impactful sport on a college campus because, number one, it goes the entire school year almost, And,
Right.
when you go to a basketball game, you're sitting right on top of the players. You feel like you know them. They're easily recognizable, and then you can see them
Yep.
around I just think it's the most impactful sport on campus.
Yeah, we we like to think so as basketball coaches, but no, yeah, Woods has been great, and like I said, we get great support from students, community members, staff members, from everybody. So it's been great.
Well, what last question? What do what do the Owls need to do over these next week or two to continue to build on this momentum?
We've got UHSP tomorrow. We go to Harris Stowe on Saturday, and then at Crowley's on Monday. So we play 3 games in 5 days, 2 of them on the road. So it's going to be tough. It's a lot of games in a short amount of time. So we've got to be prepared, knocking out all the scouts, and hopefully, take care of business one game at a time. But we're really right now. Our focus is just we've got 8 games left of the regular season. We need to do all we can. To finish out strong and hopefully win these 8 games.
Yeah.
That's where our mind is. That's where our focus is. So we're gonna do one day at a time. Do everything we can to get there.
Well, Coach, we wish you a lot of luck as you get into that home stretch in the AMC there. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes, and hopefully as you get down deep into those playoffs, maybe we can get you on again. I would enjoy that.
No, that sounds great. I'd enjoy it as well. Thank you for having me on.
That's Jordan Ashton. He's the head men's basketball coach at William Woods, the Owls. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot to Jordan Ashton and also to William Woods. I enjoyed that conversation. He's doing a great job there at William Woods, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that AMC race. We're going to keep a close eye on that. Florida Memorial tonight. They took care of Warner. They beat him 95-74. Felix Udali, he had 20 points, 9 rebounds, and Latavius Mitchell, his patented 21 points, 12 rebounds, his double-double. So they go to 17-4, and they're going to be at Ave Maria on Saturday. That's going to be a big showdown. And speaking of Ave Maria, they were at New College tonight. They beat them 96-87. Jack Watkins, 17 points, 8 rebounds, and Nick Filchner, 17 points, 10 rebounds for a double-double. Ave Maria goes to 17-5, and as I just said, they're going to host Florida Memorial on Saturday. Looking at the Sun Conference here, no surprises. There's the rest of the scores. The standings. Ave Maria has a game in hand, actually. So they're a half game up on Florida Memorial. Kaiser is another half game back. And so on Saturday, Florida Memorial will be at Ave Maria, as we said. Also, Kaiser will be at New College of Florida. That's a key game. That'll be an interesting outcome there. In the Appalachian Conference, Pikeville was idle tonight. However, Milligan was a winner. That's key. I'll show you in the standings. CIU won. That was expected. Bryan beat Bluefield. So if you go over to the standings here at the top, it's pretty tight. So Bryan, Bryan's a game up on Pikeville, who's just ahead of CIU. But look at Milligan. What is that? They're in 5th, but they're a game and a half out of 2nd. So we have to keep an eye on, 5 teams here, tight race. So on Saturday, CIU is going to be at Milligan. Bryan is going to be at Pikeville. That's the game of the day. Man, that's going to be a big, big game. That and Indiana Wesleyan and Bethel. Those are going to be some big games. Johnson's going to be at True and McConnell. Going back to Bethel and Indiana Wesleyan, those guys, I should have said this when I was on there. Steve Draben and Tonagel are high school teammates, and Tonagel, obviously, Indiana Wesleyan has struggled this year, and they really, really, really would like to beat Bethel, and I'm sure Bethel would like to win. So that thing should be a war. But getting back to the Appalachian Conference, this Bryan versus Pikeville at Pikeville is a big game as well. Okay, in the Chicagoland, brand new entry into the top 25. They did not avoid the curse. How many times do you see this? A team gets in the top 25 and boom, there they go. They're beat. They fell to Indiana South Bend, who's a very good basketball program, 68-60 for South Bend. Quentin Columbus, 20 points. Nick Mullen, 11 points, 10 rebounds. So University of St. Francis, they go to 17-3, and they're going to host Olivet Nazarene on Saturday. Take a look at the Chicagoland. Indiana Northwest won when St. Francis lost. It's really key. St. Xavier and Indiana Northwest are chasing St. Francis. You can see the rest of the scores there. So St. Francis now is one game ahead of those two, Indiana Northwest and Xavier. Indiana South Bend is only one game back from that. On Saturday, Indiana South Bend is going to be at Governor State, key game. Olivet Nazarene is going to be at St. Francis, big game in the conference. And Indiana Northwest is going to be at St. Xavier. Big games in the Chicagoland this Saturday. Keep an eye on those. KCAC, another barn burner, man. Just a barn burner. So you can see all the scores here. Oklahoma Wesleyan was a winner. Evangel beat Ottawa. That was a big win for Evangel, but that was a tough loss for Ottawa. I'll show you here in a second. And Friends beat St. Mary. Why is that important? Well, now Friends has a game up on St. Mary. So there was a three-way tie here. Friends and Oklahoma Wesleyan won tonight. St. Mary got knocked down by a game. And you can see this loss for Ottawa. They would have been tied for, I guess, that second or fourth. Anyway, they're all bunched up together. But that was a tough loss for Ottawa. So what's going on Saturday? Friends is going to be at Avila. Not an easy game. Oklahoma Wesleyan has to go to Bethany. And St. Mary has to go to Kansas Wesleyan, all on the road. That's Cook's choice when you head out on the road like that. So we'll see what happens there. And in the WAC, well, everybody's chasing Indiana Tech. What always happens in the WAC? Cornerstone, Madonna, Indiana Tech. Well, tonight, Cornerstone, Madonna, Indiana Tech all won. A big win by Madonna over Lourdes right here. Take a look at the standings. Indiana Tech, Cornerstone. Here's Lourdes. They fell to Madonna tonight, though. So, I mean, we're not quite down to Indiana Tech, Cornerstone, Madonna, but we're real close. And I don't know how many people had Madonna written off, but you're going to lose that bet. They're going to finish in the top 2 or 3 of the conference. So Madonna on Saturday is going to be at Cornerstone. Tough game for Madonna. They might slip up there. Cleary at Indiana Tech. It's a game that Tech should win, but they need every win right now. And Defiance College at Lourdes, same thing. Lourdes should win that game, but anybody slips up here, they're going to be in trouble. It's a tight race. Well, that's all I have. I really appreciate everybody. So tomorrow we're going to have Jason Beshta. He's the head men's basketball coach. John Brown, Golden Eagles. We won't be doing a conference update tomorrow. I have some obligations that I won't be able to do the conference updates, but we will bring you Jason Beshta from John Brown. So listen to that. Thank you very much, and that's all I got. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.